Next section of our program, the nationwide fight to implement Glass-Steagall, has two speakers, and the first is Representative Thomas Jackson of Alabama. He is the chairman of the Alabama House Democratic Caucus and has been a longtime collaborator of the Schiller Institute. He was part of a 10-day delegation in 1996 that traveled to Sudan to investigate and to ultimately refute the fraudulent charges directed by British intelligence of human rights violations and slavery. Not a very popular thing to do, but it shows you what his integrity was then and is now. In 2007, he ensured that Alabama was one of 18 states that introduced the legislation known as the Homeowners and Bank Protection Act, a kind of precursor to the Glass-Steagall fight. Senator Jackson.
Thank you. I have been warned about my time. I just want to thank the Schiller Institute, first and foremost, Lynn LaRouche and Helga, for this conference. Thank you for inviting us to come to be a part of this great organization. And I should say organism because it's alive, it's living, it's moving, it's doing things. I'm reminded of a minister, a Baptist preacher back in the day, finished his revival services, and a young man came up to him and asked if he would pray for his hearing. And the preacher put his hands over his ears and began to pray. And 10 minutes later, he asked, how's your hearing? He said, it's next week. So we are in next week when it comes to our financial ruins. As you may have heard, I am Thomas Jackson. I'm from the state of Alabama. And last week it was 79 degrees, and I'm here freezing today. But it's good for us to be here. Our nation is in a terrible shape due to the financial crisis that has never ended since the 2008 meltdown. Our citizens are losing their jobs. Our cities are in financial ruins, and our basic human rights are being destroyed. In Alabama, we have introduced resolution including both sides of the aisle, the minority as well as the majority members, to encourage Congress to mobilize them to reinstate the Glass-Steagall Act. Our resolution is a bipartisan resolution, as I forestated. Even the majority leader has signed on. See, we are in Alabama, we have a supermajority in both houses. The Republicans has a supermajority in both houses and the governor's office, and they do what they want to do when they want to do it. It's ironic that I am members of that august body, but we have a relationship with some members there, and we have asked them to look at the financial mess that we're in. Can't you help us? They'll sign, but the bill is in rules. They control what goes on the agenda. If it ever comes out of rules, we're moving forward to the full House and the Senate. I am also taking the liberties of 11 other states that have filed similar resolutions, and I can tell you that more states are in the process of coming forward to introduce these resolutions. In addition, I want to let you know that I carried this message of the Glass-Steagall resolution and act to Congress on yesterday. We visited 4 members of the Alabama delegation. We talked to their chiefs of staffs, and we encouraged them to talk to their boss, which is my representatives and senators, to move forward with the Glass-Steagall Act. Once of the congressional office I visited had both their chief of staff and a top financial staff member to meet with us, and we represented to let them know that we represented the LaRouche organization. The financial staff members had been in the initial bailout writing on Wall Street, and he helped with the writing of the Dodd-Frank's legislation. He was nervously glued to our message and shaken by the attacks of our warning of the imminent crisis of the Federal Reserve being too big to jail. Bankers and we are also told that they should have been jailed themselves. You know, when you look at the situation, how can you get too big to go to jail when you've broken the law? Last I read, we was a nation of laws and not of men. And our Attorney General tells us if we put them in jail, then the whole financial collapse. But we already have collapsed. Somebody needs to pay for the collapsing of the financial market. I urge the congressman to sign on with the H.R. 129. In the case of my senator, I urge him to co-sponsor a new Senate bill we need to introduce right now. In Alabama, let me share something with you, how we are moving backwards. We're privatizing education. Several weeks ago, accountability and flexibility bill was passed by the Republicans in both houses. An 8-page bill went to conference. A 28-page bill came out of conference, giving tax incentives to everyone who want to put their children in private schools, charter schools, and take them out of failing schools. And the definition of failing schools, we have not received that definition yet. But they're getting $3,500 voucher to move their children from a public school to a private school. What happened to the failing schools? What happened to the children that are caught in those schools that are going nowhere when you're taking federal dollars and state dollars to fund private education? We are in a situation where failing schools will become closed schools. Jobs will be lost. Teachers will lose their jobs. And I understand that public education has brought me to where I am in life. Public education and labor has made the middle class in this nation. Now we are being attacked, both labor and public education. On a related subject, you may know that the largest municipality in the state of Alabama in 2011 filed bankruptcy. And we are telling you today, if the Glass-Steagall bill had been in place, this would have never taken place. Jefferson County, Birmingham, Alabama, 660,000 residents was directly affected by the bankruptcy. And they would have been protected if the Glass-Steagall Repeal Act was in place. Yes, that's right. The repeal of Glass-Steagall would have saved over 3,000 jobs in Jefferson County, Birmingham area. In 2002 and 2003, Jefferson County had a repair, modernizing their sewage system and their water system, costing them $3.2 billion. To this, the county entered into an agreement, the financial arrangements to save money, and bet you it didn't happen. They lost money. You know why? Because we needed the Glass-Steagall Act to be in place. They did business with the J.P. Morgan Bank. They invested, and with the fox watching over the hen house, things just went down here from there like a downward spiral. They had a $50 a water bill became a $250 a month water bill. And so the derivatives and gambling with people's livelihood is shameless. And just the other day I saw where even in Cyprus, where people are trying to get their money out of the banks because they're going to be charged 10% of their savings. That is hypocrisy. That is criminal. It is immoral. And somebody needs to pay for that. In my closing, we would like to get involved and get other states involved. We have to mobilize our people to let them know exactly what is taking place in our nation. We will not be quiet. We will not be satisfied. And we will not close our mouths to the fact that criminals are walking around free when the free people are being accused of doing criminal acts. These are the days when good has become evil and evil is called good. Right is wrong and wrong is right. We need to find a better path to our survival, and the only way we're going to do it is get the Glass-Steagall Act in place and work with this foundation and this organization. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.